So today I kind of wanted to talk about the movies that I find highly overrated. Before I go any further, I do want to just put it out there. I don't really dislike nor do I hate any of these movies. A couple of them I actually do kind of like. It's just the fact that I don't really understand how a lot of people have taken their love or their appreciation for these movies to the next level, to acclaiming them as masterpieces or anything like that. These movies that I'm about to talk to you are movies that I kind it's not that I don't understand why people like them a lot. It's just that I don't understand why they're taken to the degree that they are and how much people like them. So let's get started. The first movie I wanted to talk about is the anime movie named Your Name. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. A lot of you are like, but Ben, it's one of the best anime movies ever. It's the most like all the stuff's in this movie. People have seen it. It's crossed over into mainstream appeal. And I understand that. And I actually like Your Name a lot. I like it so much, but at the same time, it's to me, it's not nearly as good as everyone makes it out to be. And my family love this movie. My waifu loves this movie. My even my dude friends love this movie, and they think it's a really great movie. Like I said, I think it's an amazing movie as well, but I really don't like it all that much. Now, for me, where that kind of stems from is the movie. It seems a bit generic, a bit like there's nothing really new. You know what I'm saying? And even though the art, the story, and the voice acting, they're all incredibly amazing. I'm not trying to take away anything from that. To me, it doesn't really, on an artistic and creative level, to me, it's not really that challenging. It's not putting forth any really new ideas that I would find groundbreaking. Another thing people often say is that it's the greatest anime movie all time because it's made the most money and it's gotten some of the most acclaim. And I think recently, I could be wrong, but recently that title went to Spirited Away, that anime movie. And again, that's not one of my favorite anime movies ever, but to me, even that movie was a little bit more deserving to me as a title of one of the greatest animations ever because everything was brilliant. The plot was nuanced, the characters were great, and the art was stellar. Now, to me, even though that's not even maybe it's in my top 10 favorite anime movies, it to me I would not rank that as one. Your Name maybe hits my top 20 or even 30 favorite anime movies. Like it's good, but it's not even to me it's not something worth talking about in deep discussion other than yeah, it was good and it won some awards. And like for the art and Spirited Away and the direction and everything it went under, I felt it was extremely creative. It was extremely well thought out, and the way they did everything and put everything together, and especially how hard people worked on the animation at the time. To me, it's way better than Your Name. And with Your Name, I'm not really getting any of that like mind blowing kind of crazy shit. To me, Your Name was simply a really good movie that came out at the time it did. It was worth talking about in the way like, hey, you might like this movie. But to me, it's one of the most overrated anime movies ever. And I don't know. To me, it just seems like a pretty good anime movie. That's it. It's not that good, guys. Calm down. For number four, this is going to be the second and last anime film I'm going to talk about in this list. And that movie is A Silent Voice. Now, whereas Your Name I actually really liked a lot, A Silent Voice I actually really didn't care for. To me, it did start off really, really strong. Like it got you really quick with the intro and it kept you really interested and intrigued by what the movie was going to become. and all that momentum built up, the story, the characters, and everything. But I felt like when it got to the time skip, when the main character grew up and was following the story, I felt like the writers of that movie had no fucking idea where to take it. And they kind of just, to me, it seemed the story started falling apart. I started becoming less interested. The characters started becoming less likable to me, and I didn't really get it. Now, to kind of give you an idea of where I'm coming from, I've not seen a lot of people rant and rave positively about this movie. I haven't seen people making a big deal out of it. And that's probably because it wasn't a big deal. But anyway, the reason I think it's overrated is because recently I've seen that I think A Silent Voice didn't even get nominated for an Academy Award, and something like Boss Baby did. To me, I get why people are upset about that, but the amount of people who were coming out saying like this movie's a masterpiece, this movie's great, no, it wasn't. The plot was fucking terrible. It dropped off the second half. That's like an abysmal movie going experience. Even one of my favorite movies ever, if the movie continued to gradually get worse after the midpoint, it would be a shit movie. I'm not saying A Silent Voice is a shit movie, but it's not good. It just isn't. And I know all I have to go off of is my opinion, and I can't logically create an argument in which I think I would win to convince you otherwise. But really, I don't know how to explain it. It just wasn't that good a movie. I don't really put much stock into the Academy Awards. I haven't paid attention to the Academy Awards since I was in middle school, and I thought that was like something everybody did. But now I don't care, and the fact that A Silent Voice hasn't gotten nominated for any Academy Award, I don't care. The reason I don't care is because it's not a good movie. Stop saying that it is. It's not a masterpiece. It's not even a visual masterpiece. It's just a good movie that started off that ended up shit halfway through. I'm not sorry for that. The third movie on this list is a movie I actually really hate, and I've hated it from the moment I saw it, and that movie is James Cameron's Avatar. Not to be confused with M. Night Shyamalan's Avatar: The Last Airbender. The one with all the blue people. That's the one I'm talking about. Reason why I don't like that movie is because the movie's basically the story of Pocahontas. And I know a lot of people like point that out. Like, did you know this actual movie? Kind of like how The Lion King was based off of, what was it, like Hamlet or something? A lot of people will do make that comparison, but I noticed that the minute I watched the movie, it was so transparent to me. Like, I want to say within the first 20 to 30 minutes was when I kind of started figuring out this was just a high CGI remake of Pocahontas. And to me, the whole movie's overrated. I don't like really care for the plot. I don't really care for the whole CGI effects. And honestly, I just fucking hate the way the blue people look. It has nothing to do with that they're tribal or that they're supposedly based off of, like, I don't know, like South America or African tribes or some shit. It's just that they looked fucking disgusting to me. And then not only that, but as someone, when I was younger, when that movie came out, I was really into like DeviantArt and a bunch of anime forums and stuff. And when that movie came out, I saw the worst fucking porn of like these blue creatures, and honestly, I never got onto it. To me, that was like my first experience with furries without even being introduced to the idea of what a furry was, and before I even knew what the furry fandom was. To me, that was like the first worst fan base I've ever seen. So a lot of people credit this movie like it's great, cinematography, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure it is. I'm not a film expert. I'm not really an expert in fine art either. I like what I like and I hate what I hate. But I just hate this movie. To me, it did not deserve any shred of the appeal it received. I don't know why. It's just one of those movies that if somebody even listen their top 5 or 10, like, this is my favorite movie ever, I like lose so much fucking respect and so much credibility like goes away from your opinion. And I'm sure when I put out videos of the things I like, a bunch of you are going to feel the same way. Why did I even listen to this guy? But for me personally, that movie is not good. It's shit. I've maybe seen it 2 times in my entire life. I intend to keep it that way. I remember even one time when they played the movie when I was in high school. I was a senior at the time, and everyone wanted to watch the movie. Everyone was excited, and I was the one fucking loser, hipster, nerd, whatever you want to call it, who was so anti-conformity and so edgy that I actually preferred to do an assignment over watching the movie. And it's not because I'm edgy or I wanted to prove a point. It's just I legitimately hate that movie. It's fucking trash. And honestly, if it were removed from the face of the earth, I would not be mad at all. Number 2 on the list is one that's probably going to piss a lot of people off, but if you got this far, I'm fine with it. And that's The Shining. So let me just start right off the bat saying that I kind of like it. You know, it's okay. A lot of my initial hatred towards Stan Kubrick's The Shining was because when I was younger and saw it, I didn't understand shit what was going on. It wasn't even scary to me because I couldn't understand. So by default, for many years, I just always thought it was a boring, stupid movie. I never got scared by it. I never was remotely interested in the plot. And I went through most of that movie basically being eyes wide shut. Like I had no idea what the fuck was going on in that movie. So a few years later, around the time when I was 13 or 14, I watched it again, decided to give it another chance. One of my friends was telling me that this movie scared the fuck out of them when they were younger. So me being an optimist going into this movie, I was thinking maybe I was too stupid and young to understand this movie and why it's so great. So I watched it with my friend again, and I ended up falling asleep in the latter half of it. Now, this kind of pissed off my friend because he thinks the movie's great. He thinks it's one of the greatest and most important horror movies of all time. And so he made me watch the latter half of it all over again the next day because I fell asleep during it. So I watched the latter half. I was aware of everything that was going on, and I didn't like the movie. I thought it was boring. I thought it was super, super slow. And I didn't really get any of the nuance in the filming. So that kind of pissed him off even more. So at this time, I'm already thinking I don't really like this movie. Now, flashback to maybe about half a month, a year ago. And around this time, I've been binge watching movies. A lot of YouTubers I respect and I admire defending The Shining's existence and explaining how it's this horror masterpiece and why it's important, why the film techniques and why the story is so important. And I've also been binge watching people like give explanations on how the book differs from the movie, why the movie's better in some regards, why the book is better in some regards. So I'm watching all this stuff and I'm actually getting this sort of pseudo admiration for this movie. Like I'm going in with the expectation to watch it one more time, to really get on it and to really drink the Kool-Aid of why this movie is so special and why it's so good. So my waifu at the time was getting some tattoos and I had nothing to do. I was beside myself. All of a sudden, one of the tattoo managers of the shop puts on a movie and he puts on The Shining. So I'm pretty excited, right? I'm kind of outwardly saying like, I don't like this movie. I don't really get it and stuff. But inwardly, I'm kind of excited. I put all this research, all these feelings into my head, and I'm ready to really, really pay attention to this movie, really get into it. And I watched it. After I watched it, honestly, the best way I can say it, I came out of it was 6 out of 10. Like, to me, after everything, after seeing all these examples of how people are explaining this movie is amazing, I still don't get it to this day. And all through all walks of life, or not all walks of life, but all through these ages, these vastly different ages of life, I have not liked this movie. Granted, the last time I did have a bit more appreciation, I did have a lot more optimism, and I didn't fall asleep. I wasn't negatively impacted by this movie in any way. I still don't understand why people say it's so great. To me, my gripes with it is that it's kind of slow and it leaves a little too much to the imagination. And that's just my personal opinion. I don't hate this movie. I'm not shitting on it. But from personal experience, me actually wanting to understand something really almost desperately, and I still don't like it, to me, it's one of those movies that is still going to be overrated. I don't know. Maybe you'll enjoy it when you're 50. Well, bitch, that's 50 years too long to enjoy something, alright? Now, number one, I hate this movie more than probably any other movie in the world. And I just fucking cannot stand it. And that movie is Donnie Darko. And a large part of this reason that I hate the movie is tied with a lot of hatred towards other things in life. So I'm going to give you a little story. When I was in high school, I was a freshman. I have never been exposed to this movie. And in my freshman year, I was struggling to find a group of friends I could really latch onto. The friends I grew up with did not want to hang out with me at school because they had their group of friends already. And I wasn't meeting a lot of cool people. I met a few cool people in my freshman year, but we weren't always together all the time. Sometimes it was just a class or two. But I did meet a group of outcasts, and surprise, surprise, they were all like emo and weeby and all the likes, right? So like this shit. But that shit didn't interest me at this time. So when a lot of them, we would talk about movies a lot, and we would talk about the movies that we love. So a lot of these people were fucking assholes, and actually a lot of the people that I used to hang out with in freshman year, even to this day, we all fucking hate each other. And I don't mean the whole group hates each other. I mean, most of these people fucking hate me, and I still hate them for a lot of reasons, a lot of personal reasons. But one thing that got passed around our group a lot was this masterpiece that I've never heard of, and it was called Donnie Darko. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't interested the way people described it, but eventually over time I just broke. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna hate something, if I'm not gonna like something, I at least have to watch it and give it a chance. So I watched Donnie Darko and gave it a chance, and honestly, it's one of the worst cinematic garbage I've ever fucking seen. That movie is fucking trash. And like I was talking about in the previous sections, I don't know how to logically construct how this movie is such garbage. I mean, I'm sure I could if I tried. I'm sure if I made a whole thesis video on why this video isn't good, I can yield some decent conversation, some decent dialogue, but just right off the cuff, just telling you how it is, I fucking hate it. The whole movie is fucking trash. And the only people I knew throughout my whole life who liked this movie were the emo kids, the scene kids, the hardcore weeaboos, the fucking furries. Everybody loved this movie. And every type of those shitty fan bases found something niche and found something great in this movie. And honestly, maybe that's the biggest reason why I hate it. Maybe I hate the people who associate with it so goddamn much that I cannot bring myself to like it. And maybe that's reflective on my distaste for it. But I just can't stand it. I've watched this movie maybe about 3 times. Third time was the time I was like, fuck this. I couldn't even finish it, so I turned it off. And I don't like the movie. I don't get what's appealing about it. The only thing I have to go off of why people like this movie, like I said, are the groups of people. So I'm thinking maybe the emo kids like it because it's like this really depressing, introspective type deal. Maybe the weebs like it because it's like abstract and otherworldly. Maybe the furries like it because of the dude in the furry suit, and to them that seems scary slash cool. But for me, I don't fucking like it. That movie has no redeemable qualities to me. Even Jake Gyllenhaal, whom I love as an actor, he's fucking brilliant in almost everything he does. He has a few misses, you know, like a Prince of Persia, but that's okay. He's a brilliant actor. And this movie to me did not play to any one of his strengths. Even I haven't seen all his movies, mind you, so my reference could be a little fucked up. But to me, the closest character that to that movie that I can think of that he portrayed was maybe the guy in Nightcrawler, like the sociopathic dude. And to me, even having similar character kind of expression, it didn't work for that movie. And I don't blame him at all. I blame the movie because it was fucking garbage. And to me, the one reason that this movie is just fucking dog shit and I hate it and I will never appreciate it is, and the one fact I do have to make is look at the dude who made this movie and look at the other fucking movies he's made. They're all fucking trash. Now, that can mean one of two things. One, this was his one good movie, and for some reason, he just couldn't recapture that magic and make another fucking masterpiece like Donnie Darko. And that's something that happens in film a lot, and it's understandable. Or is it more likely that he never was good at making movies, and all his movies fucking suck shit? I've seen like 3 of his movies. None of them come to the top of my head because his name doesn't even come to the top of my head. I don't remember what the movies were, but I just distinctly remembering they had that Donnie Darko shit appeal to it. And for that reason, that's why Donnie Darko is at the top of my most overrated movie list. And I'm sure to this day, a lot of people still like it. I kind of want to hope the best of humanity and a lot of people outgrew Donnie Darko, but no, there's still people out there who like this piece of shit, and they're probably the same people that I used to fucking hang out with in my freshman year of high school. They're garbage fucking people. Thank you guys for coming on this journey with me, talking about my 5 most overrated movies. And let me just say, wasn't my intention to hurt feelings in this video. A lot of these movies do have a place in cinema and do have their impact on people. And if these movies didn't exist, then a lot of people wouldn't be inspired to make the works of art they've made in any sort of media. So with that all being said, Avatar and Donnie Darko are fucking shit and they should be erased from the planet. Thanks for watching.
You see, it doesn't matter. The car I drive or the ice around my neck. All that matters is that you recognize that it's just about respect.